Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered. I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic.
I am Rob. I am also an alcoholic. We are not professionals. There are no letters after our names. We know very little. However, you will hear the word God and a four-letter word in the same sentence. You will also be offended. So if you are easily offended, just pass us by. This podcast is not for you.
Our opinions are just that. If you don't agree with what we're saying, that's okay. We're going to love you anyways. We are not in any way affiliated with AA.
So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and get ready.
Let's go.
Deja vu, or like, you know.
Little nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
I still like it better. I love my daughter for her opinions, but I still like
You still like that one?
Yeah, I do. It just, you know why? It gets me into this, right?
Okay.
The transition is just good. I like it. I'll bounce back and forth, but you know, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I mean, I live listening to podcasts and they're just so informational, but every podcast I listen to, whether it's a newer one or one that's been around forever, right? They have the same openings, and you know, they just people know that it's getting ready to go.
Familiarity,
right? Yeah. I mean, we do miss this.
You sit on the toilet, don't you? Use that as your meditation.
Not my wife, not your wife, nor anybody listening to this podcast.
We have to still play that.
We didn't have because it's true. There's no more truth than that.
Right.
Don't waste your time. If you're on the toilet, think of God.
You know, and I appreciate that. It's just, you know, like I said, I enjoy that opening, and I started thinking about it the other day. I'm like, you know what, like I said, I listen to our podcast. I'll go back and listen to it. Not that I like listening to myself talk, but I do. I'm sorry. These are very educational podcasts. I enjoy listening to them. You know what? When we're recording, I don't get a lot out of it, right? I mean, because I'm in the moment and I'm not really listening, and I'm not I'm listening, but I'm always looking for what's next, or how we going to go. You know, where are we going with the next question?
I too hear different. Right. When it comes out on Wednesday, as I'm driving wherever I'm going, if I'm going to Sacramento, that's my first hour. Right. Whatever it is, I'll listen to it, and I hear different things, and I pick up like, man, I wish I hadn't said that, or I should have followed through on a different question. Right. And we learned. That was great. Right. I loved it.
We learned from it, right?
Oh, yeah.
We learned by listening to it. And it's, you know, the other thing it does, it gives me ideas of where I want to go with our next podcast. And same thing with you. You'll call me up and say, hey, let's try this. Let's do this, right? I mean, I hit you with something yesterday, and I'm not completely against doing it.
No, because now a couple of people where I just came from in that treatment center asked me how I do it. And then, because apparently they were asking Sean, this gentleman was, and Sean goes, see, Rob, kind of give Jeff I kind of ran down, you know, and she goes, and there's some people that's when they sponsor, they do it this way. And there's some that go fast like Rob. I said, but here's one thing, Jeff, this guy's gave me Jeff, one thing to think about. People that choose to wait, do a step a month or whatever, they can't defend that from the big book. For sure. I can. Right. It's not Rob's way. It's just the way they did it. They did it like this, and I pointed out different why they, you know, that's why they did it, or.
And, you know, like I said, I've been through it. And, you know, you listen to a lot of people that have been doing this a long time, the old timers, right? The people that have been in this.
Listen to Joe and Charlie if you want.
Right, for sure.
They're going to tell you.
They go quick.
Let's go. That's how they did it.
And I had to do mine when I was fresh, right? I had to.
Well, what did Brad say? Remember?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Right?
I wish I had done it when the pain was real. Yep. And if you know why he said that? And why, and everybody in the room is because they look at Brandon. We watch Brandon walk in, hurting, broken. Did it just like the old timers do it. You know, I took him through just like they did it. And now look at him 3 months later, 90 something days later.
He is not the same man.
But watch God and the steps when it was fresh. That there's just something more real about that spiritual awakening they have when you're then if you wait and do, you know, it just does. There's just something different.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch those new guys come in here. One of the things I want to bring up front is if you're struggling and hurting and you just got through these holidays and you don't know where to go, give us a ring, recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com, that you can reach out to Rob or me, either one of us through there. I've had a few people come in through leaving comments on like Linktree or iTunes or one of those. It's much easier if you email us directly at Recovery Unfiltered Podcast, Rob and Larry. No, I'm sorry, just recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com. Right. It's so much easier if you come
I listen to it on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I get comments, you know, the comments that come in, I don't always see them because I'm not on those. I saw a guy he had I probably shouldn't say it, but he said, he goes, and it was right after the 90 day with Brandon, his 90 day, he goes, man, I really needed this. I was really struggling. And I'm like, God, and you know what? I didn't see it for like a week and a half after he sent the message. And I just felt like shit because I would have liked to have been able to respond right back to him.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just, if you're responding, please try to respond to that Recovery Unfiltered podcast at gmail.com. I get those directly to my phone. They come in through my email. I can respond to them much easier to respond. So how was your Christmas, brother?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, quiet.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah. The Christmas and New Year's. This is my fourth one since I've been sober, because of where my sobriety came in. And, wow, I do have a lot to talk about today. A couple things is, you know, this Christmas was, I don't know how to say it. I couldn't stop staring at Katie. I just couldn't. I tried. I was just so taken back by how hard this lady works for her kids and her grandkids. And I'm just so blessed that she just hung on. And so my gratitude was just, I couldn't even explain it. I couldn't control it. I couldn't leave her side. I didn't want to leave her hand. I mean, I was just so blessed that she stayed with me through all that shit.
And as we grow and mature, and that's why when Pat says that, or Bill, the old timers say, man, with one more drink, I could have missed this.
Oh.
Missed all of this. It hits home. It hits harder. The longer we stay sober, the more we get to enjoy those moments. Wow.
You know, and I say that to my family all the time. If there's a picture or something, I always tell them I was one drink away from missing this. Mm-hmm. And I was, because I'll say it any chance I get. I was one drink. I say it about my job. I was one drink away from this. Look at that truck I drive. I was one drink away from missing everything I got. Right. And I'm so grateful.
And not only does it give us more things to be grateful for, but gives us the most important thing, someone to be grateful to.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
once we got off the pedestal and put God where he belonged, everything changes.
Yeah. If you guys, our listeners, hear anything screaming or anything downstairs, my wife is actually down there babysitting my granddaughter today. So my grandson and granddaughter's wrestling in a tournament today. So she's got the baby. We got the baby here. So I apologize. I do record from home. The other thing that happened on so that was Christmas. It was just amazing. And then on New Year's Day, I got a phone call at 8:30 in the morning, and I've been on the hotline for AA for probably a year, right? And I've never gotten a phone call.
What's your time slot?
But that's the other thing, right? It's Tuesdays, 6 to 9 a.m., right? That's my time slot. And I've never gotten a phone call.
That's a weird time to get a call.
But it wasn't. I got a phone call on.
Well, that's Christmas Eve, though, or New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Day. It was New Year's Day, which was
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday, right? Okay. So I don't know, but she said she called the hotline, right? And I'm like, okay.
And they patch her into you?
So I get the phone call, right?
Pissed them off.
Yeah, shut up, Dick. So it was 8:30 in the morning, and I get an 866 number coming across, and I'm like, shit. I don't, fuck, I'll answer it. So I went ahead and answered it, and it said, it's a direct call from option 1 or something like that, or optional 1. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. So once again, first thought that went through my head was one of my buddies got put in jail. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, fuck, who got arrested? Right. So, I answered it, and it's a little sweet girl on the other line, and her name was April. And she says, hi, are you Larry? And I'm like, yeah. Okay, I am so-and-so and she was from a behavioral center down in Merced. And she says, I came in here and they don't have any AA books. And I'm like, well, I got plenty. And she goes, well, could you bring some to us? I said, I'll be there in 45 minutes. And I packed up and I headed down.
Saw that. I remember the text in our group thread.
Yeah, it was really cool, right? I mean, so I go down there and I'm thinking it's a county thing. I didn't realize what it was, and they call, I went running, that's part of being an H&I.
But this isn't a recovery place. It's a behavioral.
Well, I didn't know, right? I thought it was like the Stanislaus County, the SRC here. I thought it was a recovery center because I asked her, are you recovering from alcohol? She goes, yes, and behavioral. And I go, okay. I said, I'll be right there. Let me come. And I went down there. And when I got in, it's in the backside of the county place. And I walked in, and there was, a few people sitting there, and I got to talking with a few of the people that were in there. And then the guy that ran the place come out there, and him and I got to talking, and I go, is this, and he goes, no, this has nothing to do with the county. It was a private facility. And for the life of me, I can't remember. And I apologize if people may know what I'm talking about. And so I got to talking with him. I go, so you guys are not any kind of addict or recovery? He says, no, but we do we do have a lot come through here. And I said, really? He goes, I would love to have, an AA group come through here. And I'm like, well, do you not have anybody from the Merced County area? He goes, no, we have never had anybody come through here. And I go, well, I have a group of guys that can help you out there. So I did reach out, send an email to the director of that. So I'm probably going to start getting a group together to go down there probably once a month, twice a month, but it's not a recovery center, but he does.
So what do they do with the alcohol and the addict that come in?
They don't do anything. That's the problem, right? They don't have anybody to come in there to talk to those guys. And we may go in there and only have one person.
But they still house alcoholics and addicts.
So they come they come in under behavioral health. Like,
so they're doing crazy shit.
Yep.
Because they're drunk or loaded.
Right. So they get in there on a 5150, or they go in or something like that. But
that's a great place to pick up dates, by the way.
Right. Well, I tried. I figured I had about an hour or two before Katie missed me, but you never know. Start the New Year's out right. So anyways, that's how I started my New Year's.
I'll be darned. So we're going to go down there as it materializes?
Yeah. No, we'll get down there. I mean,
breaking new ground.
I talked to one of the guys, the head of the H&I yesterday at the men's group meeting, and I was kind of talking to him about it. He goes, well, let's get a hold of the Merced chapter because we don't want to step on any toes. It's kind of territorial, and I'm fine with that. I mean, if there's somebody down there in that area that wants to get involved in it, I'm not going to, limit.
Yeah, God called you.
Well, and that's true, but I'm not going to limit somebody else's ability to go in there, right?
But they're going to want to hear it from us.
What do you mean?
Well, because if you start doubling up, so we kept a few guys, a few people from Merced go in there,
right.
Then we go in there with our fire and brimstone.
Right.
They're not going to want the other. Hey, bring those guys back. They got fire. They got the answer. They got life going.
Sure.
Forget those Merced
guys. God brings it into a lot of other people. Yeah. So
no pride and ego going on here.
No. We need an ego deflation station. Where's Brad at when we need him?
That's what the steps are.
So you went up to Maynard's last Friday?
Last Friday, I went up to Maynard's to what was called what do they call it?
It's cafe night.
Cafe night every Friday, which they didn't do when I was there.
No.
Every Friday they have a speaker. Apparently they do a good meal. Sometimes it's crab, lobster.
Right.
It was prime rib was the Tuesday before,
right?
The Friday because they had it for New Year's, so they didn't even know I was coming, or they weren't expecting me.
Yeah, they
had forgotten me.
So the owner, Shauna, she likes to do those. She does those every week, right? So what she does is her mom started that because the way they looked at it is they wanted to put.
So I got to go back. They forgot me. They forgot that I was coming. So Shauna forgot I was coming.
Right.
Sponsored by Ginkgo biloba. We'll take some up for her so she can get that. We'll get that memory, some mushrooms or lion's mane to help her get her memory back.
That's funny.
She felt terrible. I mean, Sean told me she felt, and I don't want her, but I still got to share, which is all I was there to do anyway.
Right.
I didn't know that was there's a big meal.
Shauna's mom started those cafe nights years ago because she wants to bring a normalization to that recovery. Right. So every Friday night, they decorate the cafe, the place where they open, the place where they always eat. They lock you out. So the patients, the clients, they can't come in there through that kitchen area for like 2 hours, and they decorate it all up. They put covers on the tables. They put the chargers and then the plates and then the forks. I mean, they dress it up like a real restaurant.
That was not like.
No, and you'll see it when you go back up with me, right? Because they dress it up like a real restaurant with wine glasses and everything, right? And I mean, they're wine goblets, right?
Yeah.
And they don't pour wine, but they make it look like a real restaurant to put these clients into real scenarios. And
is that kind of what it's for? Or is it just like fun
she just wants to give them. She just treats them,
and they have a speaker coming
right.
in.
Well, that's something new that she started, right? So that is something she knew that she started, and I was
having the speaker.
Yes, yeah, I was one of the first ones to start that because I was wanting to get more involved, and that's when Sean asked me to come up and speak at cafe night. And I did. And then what now she's got a rotation of every 8 days, or every 8 weeks, somebody new comes in there. And she started this right before the holidays, right? So the holidays kind of mess some stuff up. So she'll get on a better rotation.
What do you mean every 8 weeks someone new comes in?
So every week she has a new person, but she's got an 8-person rotation, which now you've become a part of it, right?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So
I'm part of a rotation.
You are part of a rotation, right? You can thank me for volunteering you that.
I just found out.
You're welcome. You know, she does have alumni come up about every, you know, and if she has somebody new show up, she's called me and said, I got somebody new to speak, and that's fine if she's got somebody else, and that's perfectly fine with me.
Well, yeah, because Sean asked me when I sat down in the, living room till she could figure out what the hell was going on.
Right.
She goes, Rob, are you alumni? I said, yes. She goes, well, how long ago? I said, 13 and a half years. And everybody, their eyes got big. Like, the same way, way I did, like when someone said they had 13, they had this lying motherfucker. You've had 13 and a half years with not a drink, a drug, nothing. Nothing, you lying motherfucker.
The ones that always get me when I was there, right? What was an eye opener for me is there was a guy coming through there that had been sober for 15 years and he was coming back through rehab again. That was an eye opener for me.
There was a guy in there. Because I've asked, who's tried this before, who's tried sobriety. Then there was an older guy, the only cat in there that was older than me.
That's fucking old.
Quite a bit, probably. And I said, well, what happened? Because I had 10 years. I said, well, this is when this was kind of after dinner, after they ate, because I didn't eat. I was just speaking as they were eating, just talking and asking questions and just kind of getting into my, because I'm not like Larry. I mean, I can talk. I mean, I don't necessarily like to hear myself talk. But anyway, I said, what happened? And he says that my wife died. And my wife died of cancer. And I just had talked about my cancer journey. Right. And he goes, and I went nuts. I said, Then I told him about Matt and Mary, because Mary had went and spoke. Right. But these people didn't know that. And I told him about Matt, Matt was Sean was in there for this little speech. She goes, yeah, I know them. And I had sponsored Matt. I do sponsor Matt, and he was 10 months sober, buried his son. And I wasn't doing it in the way, just the grace of God, the way I explained it, was not to crack on this guy. Hey, listen, we can get we don't drink no matter what, even though that's the point I was getting across. Wife or no wife, job or no job, we simply do not stay sober as long as we put anything, our reliance upon God. Right. But I was sharing this way that, hey, Matt and these people just went through the death of a son, a child, which in my mind, and even in my wife's mind, that'd be harder than burying each other. And they stayed sober. So it just let these people know, it is possible.
It is 1,000% possible, but you have to stay connected in this
you have
program.
to have that, like what me and Doug talk about, the no matter what club.
Right. No matter what.
Because if you'll drink over one thing,
for sure,
you'll drink over anything. Death of a wife, death of a child, whatever.
We got a guy that's still out drinking because he's got a resentment towards AA.
Yeah. We get, or Jesus loves drinking. And then,
he's got a resentment against AA, so he stays out and doesn't get
really
involved.
What he has is a love for alcohol, and selfishness, self-centeredness. Because he has one of the greatest stories.
If he would ever, and I've told him this,
I have too.
If you would ever commit, your story would save so many lives. Your story would save.
So how selfish is that? And he knows that, and he's had sobriety, so he knows what it is. He just wants.
And he's got a wife that's in the program, and I don't, And it's sad, when we hear these, like I said, the guy that came in and had 15 years, and was funny is Chris L., who's, he on the podcast with us, who's one of the counselors up there. He literally had this gentleman explain why he was back. And he said, simple, I thought I could do this on my own. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped being around like-minded people. I stopped reading the book. I stopped doing my mornings. I just stopped doing whatever and started living life.
Because life was good.
It's fucking easy to do. I'm telling you right now. It is fucking easy to do. But if you don't forget what got you back to that glorious life.
Well, what's that quote that the old time says, don't let the life that AA provides get in the way of your AA life. Right. Now, there are times that AA life, like when my kids got into sports, and when my son got into sports and my daughter's doing things, and I couldn't go to as much, and I was, hey, Jay, I don't want to be, he said, well, God didn't get you sober. Right. Just to go to meetings, and God got you sober to be a father or a husband. That's why. So,
and I say that to people all the time, right?
But there's a balance to be had.
There is, right? And I said that in the very beginning when I first got sober. You did it for 3 years, never missed a meeting, right? I got out and I did it for about 3 weeks, and I finally was like, this isn't for me. I'm not. I couldn't do it.
That's not what you needed.
No,
I needed that.
I needed my wife. I needed
that foundation.
Right.
Well, you got a foundation a different way. God is,
for sure. I mean, I felt with my kids and my wife and the support I had here at home. I'm not saying that you didn't have it. It's just, you got it one way. I got it through my wife and my daughters. Yeah. Your kids were young, right? Your kids were young. Right. Mine were very much of
about
age.
The 3-year mark was when Logan starts getting into sports and stuff like that. Cause they were,
And I just, like I said, I was coming home from an AA meeting one evening, and I was like, man, I want to be home with my wife. And I just at that point, I said, I got to find balance, because this isn't going to work for me. You know, Brandon said it, he spent 60 days in that rehab up there, and he said he spent 30 days longer than what he should have. He just got, and that just goes to this, find a balance, but don't ever shut one off. Right. No, well, never shut AA off.
What normally happens, like when the 5 to 10 year guys or women, life gets good.
Right.
Man, you know what? I don't need to go to a meeting today. I feel really good. And then they quit this. It's the big 3, whether it's 3 years, 30 years, when guys go back out or women go back out, they quit talking to God. They quit fellowshipping. Yep. They quit.
Yep.
What is it? Fellowship, prayer, working with others. Right. You quit doing the things that got you there.
Right. And I tell people this all the time, that, I have an AA meeting almost every Sunday in my studio, right? Mm-hmm. This is, and not only here, what you and I do, when I edit this, when I read, I'm constantly doing research on what can I bring into the podcast? How can I make it better? That's everything I'm doing for this podcast keeps me connected in my sobriety. Everything.
Because it involves God.
God always is involved.
And that's the answer. That's the power.
And I don't ever forget that. The blessings that come into my life, the gratitudes that I have, everything that I have is because of I turn over my hands every morning and say, take it. It's not mine.
And there have been times I got stagnant, and I didn't stop coming, but let me tell you, it was about the 5 to 8 year mark. 6, yep. I didn't stop coming. I was like, fuck, are you kidding me? I'm thinking in my mind, don't call on Frank to share. You know what Frank's going to fucking talk about. I don't care what the topic is. Frank's going to tell you about the first wife that got they got the house, the second wife they got the retirement. That's why you're fuck. In that, like, God, why am I even here? Then I'm just going through the motions. And then you catch back on fire. Someone will ask you to sponsor them, and God has a way. But I never stop. But for the most part, I've been on fire since I got sober.
And you know what? Even those guys, like you say, like that yesterday in the morning meeting, that and you
Frank's
didn't go.
Dead, by the way.
Damn it. He didn't die of this disease.
No. He died of Alzheimer's, the old age. He was just an old crotchety old cocksucker.
So yesterday in the men's group, the morning meetings, there was the round table, and same old. And I went because I love my Saturday morning. There's 2, like I said, there's 2 that I go to that I don't miss. One is my Saturday morning men's group, and the other one is our Monday night group. Right? I don't miss either one of those. If I get another one in there, fine. Yeah. I enjoy it. Should I go more to my home group? Absolutely, right? I should, but at this point, I think my home group is moving to our Monday night group, right? I'm there.
Well, it is. And God screwed me over again last week, like He does.
God screwed you over?
Yeah, He did. Yeah.
Why did He do that?
I ain't gonna lie.
You need to explain that.
This is what He this in since early sobriety. This is how He.
This ought to be good.
This is how He fucks with me. I'm not kidding. This is how He fucks with me. And
You're fucking making me laugh right now.
We can have these conversations. So used to be, okay, this is what would happen. Used to be, back in the day, I would be doing something. I wouldn't have a meeting planned, right? And I would get this for no, I'm not that I was feeling squirrely or nothing. I would just get an overwhelming sense you need to be at a meeting.
Right.
Okay, I'll just run down to Oakdale. No. You need to go primary purpose. Starts 6:30. But this is not this would be on a day that's not normally after like. And it would just, not
grind you.
Just a needle, just a thorn in the fucking flesh is what it'd be. So at first I was like, okay, I'll go, heck, because I'm going to hear something that I need to hear, something overwhelming, or I'm going to say something, or I'm going to, the topic's going to be just as such, and I'm going to be able to help somebody, and I would go just expecting the expectations and nothing. And I get
just a dry meeting,
just a meeting. But I was expecting to hear because
right.
So I'd be on the drive home. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Why did you make me go there?
What was all this? All the build up, and he would do that for. So I come to And then when I got sober, I used to have deja vus a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I came up with
I still have them.
I still came up with, I don't have them as much anymore, but I had them. So I came up with a theory on that, why that happened. And I came up with a theory on why he does this. Because he did it this Friday. You want to pray me? And I go like, and my wife goes, God's got you in the ribs again? Yeah. Yeah. Now I know I ain't gonna need a fucking thing, but I'm going to go just, so what it is, he's just gonna say, hey, you think you'll be obedient? You think he'll go?
Right.
And he's talking.
Yeah.
Now, in my mind, the father's talking to the son. He's like,
right.
He always does.
Right.
Let's do it again. And there's nothing.
Hey,
no
watch
fire,
this.
no lightning, no brimstone, no just.
Watch
it's just
this.
which is a meeting, but there I sit. Fucking.
There you go.
On a day,
God's got a sense of humor.
on a day I could be. I want to be relaxing,
Right.
watching the last season of Tombstone. I haven't got to watch it.
That's funny.
And she goes, "Where are you going?" I'm going to a fucking meeting. He's got me. He's poking me in the ribs again. She just chuckles, And
Did you get to see anybody at least that you hadn't seen in a while?
no,
No,
I sat next to Brandon, and there was a small. Well, it was good because at first no one was there. There's like 4 of us. Right?
Oh wow.
So I was like, "Fuck, we'll get out of here early.
Right.
I can get back home." And then 5 minutes till, here pumps in another 6 people. Like, fuck, it's gonna go the whole time.
That's too funny. That's
But
too
he
funny.
just does it. See, you think he'll be obedient? You think he will? He always does. Just like clockwork, just ribbing me. One of these days I'm not going to go. And then someone will call, "Hey, Rob, you just missed the greatest meeting ever." This,
every fucking time I miss a meeting that I'm supposed to be at, you watch Monday afternoon or Monday night or Tuesday, you're going to call me and go,
well,
Larry, you just missed. Cause I can't, the next next 2 Mondays, I have to be gone.
But in our defense, I wasn't the only one that told you that.
I know.
For the ones when you started this, they were fired. I mean, they're always great, but these were, new men coming in,
Right.
I mean,
there's some great ones coming in right now, Gabriel and Brian. I mean, there's some great guys that I'm excited.
Gabe got a new sponsor, by the way.
Who? Oh, Brandon's not going to do it?
Nope.
Why?
Because Gabe, in a different meeting, Gabe asked another guy. He took matters into his own hands.
And that goes right back.
And I love it.
Right. That goes right there.
And I was there at the meeting when he did. Right. He goes, "I'm going to ask." I said, "Good. Take your deal."
It's your sobriety, brother.
Yeah, do it.
It's your sobriety. Don't wait for a fucking sponsor to do what you want done.
Even though you lost all the paperwork that Brandon gave him.
How did Brandon take it?
Brandon didn't know. I called him and I go, "Hey, by the way, your sponsor found a new sponsor." Okay.
So he's fine with it.
He goes, what do I think about that? He goes, "You should think it's great." He's taking his sobriety into his own hands. He wasn't, because he basically got told, "This guy's your sponsor."
Oh, did he?
But Aaron goes, "Hey, this would be a great sponsor."
Oh, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he kind of, whatever. Hey, I'm not going to say nothing. And I say that right now. I hope he listens.
Right.
Yeah, because when I was telling the people at Maynard's when I was up there speaking, there's a guy named Steve that came in. He was long road. He's retired now, but he was a long haul truck driver. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. He came into, he'd come to the open meetings because he lived up in Twainhard at Maynard's. And there was me and Julie, we were the 2 oldest in that. I was 38 at the time. And he goes, "Probably only 2 or 3 of you are going to get sober. The rest, there's a lot of us in there. There's probably 25 people. The rest of you will not make it." I didn't know that he was accurate.
True fact.
I just thought he was saying that. I was like, and I bumped her. I was like, "Fuck this guy. Ain't nobody on this earth going to tell me I'm going to get drunk again."
Right.
Who the fuck does he think he is? You watch. Little did I know, 7 months later, he's at Primary Purpose. That's his home group.
Oh,
when he's in town.
Oh, wow.
He comes down there. He ended up moving to Tennessee and retiring. But I went up and thanked him, shook his hand, and he didn't remember me. I said, "I was at Maynard's when you went and spoke, and this is what you said." And he goes, "I say that quite often." He goes, "But you just happen to be what I said." I go, "You fucking pissed me off. I wanted to snap your neck." But what I did do is I made sure that, hey, I'm going to get sober.
I had a guy when I was leaving, the day I was leaving, there was a guy from the Bay Area, and I wish I could, actually, I did run into him. He was only there, he'd only been there for about a week. And when you leave primary and they're kind of doing your ceremony as you're leaving, you sit around this big circle and they pass a coin around you, right? And everybody gives you well wishes. Everybody gives you well wishes before you leave. And this old boy, he grabbed that coin and he started getting really upset. And he's like, "Larry, I just don't think you're ready. I don't think you're going to make it." And in my mind, back of my mind, I'm like, "Fuck you. I ain't never fucking touching this shit again." Right. But I still think about that guy all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I think about him all the time. Now, 2 weeks later after I got out, I went back up there for the Sunday meeting, the AA meeting.
And you were the guy that said, "Hey, Most of you fuckers ain't gonna make it.
No. I got to see that guy because I didn't realize this after I'd left. That guy was really hurt. Didn't think he was ever going to get to see me again. So he thought that
Oh, that's the cat that made amends.
Yes. Well, he didn't even know he did it, right? I mean, he was still in rehab. So I went back like 2 or 3 weeks later, and one of the counselors there goes, "Oh, Larry, this guy's going to be so happy to see you." He says, "Ever since you left, he's been beating himself up about what he said." And I go, "Really?" And he came in, he saw me, he just grabbed me and hugged me and just started crying. He's like, I'm sorry. I go, dude, don't be sorry. You're just speaking your heart, and it could be true. Fuck, I don't know. I can leave here and stop at the Rawhide on the way home.
The crazy thing is, when we were in the dude, that's funny because I was going to stop by and see Brent on the way back from when I was speaking because I know he's at the Rawhide that night. He owns the bar.
Yeah,
I was going to stop by and have a cup of coffee, just say hi. I haven't seen him in a while. But anyway, they all know there's a young gal named Beatrice in there, client.
All right.
And I was talking about the forward to the second edition of the 50 to 75%. She goes, right now it's like 2%. I go, how do you know that? She goes, I just read the stats. I go, so you know that. And when you guys, when I ask you, what are you guys going to do? Well, I'm going to get a job up here.
Right.
No one said I'm going to get a sponsor, work the steps.
Right.
That's all we've been saying. I mean, you wonder why they fail. Yeah. Cause I know what Chris is telling them.
Right. Yeah. Chris told me, I mean, I didn't have a choice. Chris already set up my.
Well, yeah, mine was set up, but then you have to follow through the plan.
No, I had to go. Right. I had to go. When I left there, I came home, spent a few hours with Katie, went straight to primary. I mean, I hit it running hard. I didn't.
And then I told her, listen, I don't care how fucking busy you are. I had 2 kids,
right,
full-time job, wife, I had all that going on. So you can do that school.
Right.
But this has got to become priority. You can take care of all that other stuff, but you got to get this in your life. Or you won't have any other stuff any fucking way.
One of our guys that's in our group, and I'm not going to mention a name because he listens to this, and I love you. He's going to hear this. He's struggling. He was struggling here a few weeks back, and he brought up the reason why. And I came home and I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? If you ever tried to get in between me and my sobriety, you'd be gone. And she looked at me like, what? I go, I'm just telling you. Nothing's going to become in between me and my sobriety.
Oh yeah, and I know who you're talking about, and I know what you're talking about because I told him the same thing. I had I was on the phone, and I asked my wife, give you a hypothetical.
Right.
I said, honey, if you were so mad, if we had got in our, which we don't really argue, but say you did, and what came out of your mouth was, you know what? I wish you would just go drink.
Right.
So basically what you'd be saying is, she goes, basically what I'd be saying is I want you to go die.
Right.
If you go, I go, so where I go, what would be my reaction to that? She goes, well, if I was serious, it'd probably be packing bags.
Right.
This is over. We'll just divide this shit up right now because
I ain't drinking.
Anybody that would say that to me, gone. You're not a part of my life. No. Don't care how long you've been a part of it. Gone.
Nothing. I want nothing to do with that. Yeah, I mean, I told my bosses when I started that new job, I tell everybody, and my wife and kids, they know my sobriety comes first. I don't put anything between me and my sobriety because I know without my sobriety, I'm dead.
You'll lose it all anyway.
I'm dead, right? I just might as well curl back up. With my sobriety comes my peace and my serenity and nothing.
And my wife just, when I had that, she goes, I just can't imagine someone saying that to an alcoholic. She goes, I just cannot imagine. I said,
oh, it happens.
It happens. She goes, I can't. She goes, because the 3 years that I was telling the people up there, every day for 3 years that's a lot of meetings.
Right.
I'd still go to work. I'd still teach the kids to ride the bike. I'd still do my the husband things. But my wife loved the man that AA was built, that God was building through this process.
Right.
Was it a lot? Was it a lot to sacrifice? Yeah, sure was. And she was there. And I'm sure there were times like, fuck, does he got to go to another meeting? I'm sure there was that. She never said it.
Right.
But she loved the man that God was making through that process.
You're my grandbaby.
Yeah. that's bliss right there.
Right there. I was just look at this. I was one drink away from that.
Yeah,
right there.
You could have missed all that.
I got to go pick her up this morning. She normally she's not a big Papa's girl yet. I mean,
she'll get there.
With all the little ones, because I'm so loud, right? The little ones they get scared of me. Anyways, Claire was always scared of me too when she was little, but now she's attached to my hip. And this one right here, I thought it, because I went and picked her up, and I thought she was going to cry all the way down here, and she just papa in the back seat. I love it. Anyway, so yeah, you went up there, you did that. The Saturday meeting, you brought this up a minute ago. It was, same group of guys in there, and there was a couple things said, and I was going to bring it up on my phone because something was said, and I actually texted it to to my wife that I was like, that was one of the most prolific things I think I've heard in a very long time.
Prolific or profound?
Profound, sorry,
right.
Profound.
So when after you get done reading that, remind me, we want to get back to the meeting that I went to. After I spoke, I stayed later and went to a meeting. I'm going to explain why NA people don't come here.
So I heard, Pat and Johnny O went back to back, right? They went back to back. Two very, very well-spoken, just the way they talk. And
both of them believe the step work should be done.
Oh my God.
They're
right.
like me.
And they're very much, so they went back to back. And you know me, I have that 10 o'clock break. I'm just weird. It's Saturday morning,
me
10
too.
o'clock. I need to go.
Time to go.
That meeting goes till about 10:30, but at 10 o'clock, I'm bounced, right? Whether I speak or not, I don't care. It's time to go. Anyway, so Johnny says this, have a little hope sober is way better than having no hope drunk. And I've heard that before, but for some reason that just stuck with me. And I texted it to my wife only because I didn't have any way to write it down. And Pat said a couple things, and I listen to Pat talk a lot, right? We hear him talk. He's got a ton of wisdom. I love hearing the words coming out of him. And he's very good with his words when he's talking about the sobriety. And Pat had said a few things too. And this is why I hate not having a notebook and my notepads and everything, because when guys say stuff, I like to hear it. I like to write it down because I like to repeat it. I put it in my book. I put it in places where I can read it.
I usually it just sticks.
I can't. I don't have that, right? I don't have that ability. I wish I did. I wish I had what you had where you can read that and memorize. I don't have it, right? You want to talk to me about graphs and market share stuff from the last 6 months of the fuel industry, the commodities, I can talk to you about it all day long and remember where the market was at. But that I just don't have, the computer RAM cells that I have in my brain only allow so much shit up there, right? So and they're full. So when I hear stuff, I like to write it down. And I heard that having a little hope sober is way better than having no hope drunk. And I like, for me, because I have a ton of hope. I look at hope every day.
But on the way out here, speaking, it's funny that you brought that up. I was listening to Joe and Charlie go through Bill's story. And they just got to, where Bill, the talks, the progression, but where Bill had hope, when he first had hope.
Right.
Which is when Chris sat next to me at Maynard's.
Right.
It's what you talk about when reversing the darkness a little bit. That's what hope, because and Joe and Charlie said, a man can't live without hope.
Nope.
Can't live very long without hope. And that's where we were at, hopeless.
And we're going to talk about that. We got another, I want to bring this up real fast, and I'm not done with you, but so Rob and I are recording with, it's our first one. It's going to be our first Zoom call, by the way. She's not going to be in the studio.
She's not going to be here.
No, she's not going to be in the studio. It's going to be our first Zoom call. And we tried to get on that podcast with those guys back east, and we're trying to do it through that. Larry's an idiot. So I had to do, so Katie and I played this morning with some stuff. She played downstairs and I was upstairs.
What you play with? Not Cheetos, I hope. Not hot Cheetos.
So I finally got it working, right? I finally got the settings right. So Rachel Berry, she is and I'll read this again next week, but Rachel Berry is months away from completing her PhD in clinical psychology. She currently has a master's degree in psychology and will become a clinical psychologist upon receiving her doctorate from Palo Alto University. Her clinical background has included working with veterans, experienced substance use disorders, homelessness, severe mental illness, and dual diagnosis in both residential and outpatient settings. Rachel currently provides addiction and trauma treatment to veterans at the VA Sierra Nevada healthcare system. Rachel's research interests include drug and non-drug addictions. I'm not for sure what that is, so I'm anxious to talk.
Non-drug addictions, baby. Gambling addiction, sex addiction.
Okay.
Non-drug.
Okay. Harm reduction,
eating Cheetos and
shut up. Psychedelic drugs, which is something that we've really talked about.
A little bit of psilocybin going on.
Right.
There.
So this is one of the things, and we'll talk about that, about addiction and addiction treatment as an adjunct faculty member for Palo Alto University undergraduate psychology department. So
by far the most educated person we're going to have on this project.
Dude, when we say we're not affiliated with any MDs or MHDs, or you and I don't have any of that, guess what? We have a lady who's already,
yes,
she is,
and she fell into our lap by the grace of God and through a coworker of mine.
Rob, I sent out on Instagram yesterday the picture of everywhere that our podcast has been in all the different countries. And, you know, we've been in 11 different countries, and God has done nothing but bless this podcast from the moment you and I sat down, right? I mean, it's been amazing to watch this, and I get excited about it all the time. But when this came up, because of everything we talk about, because of, you know, how much I love reading.
Well,
I love
the young
learning.
man that works for me, he's on one of our crews. Well, my boss that passed away hired this kid. He kept bugging me, this kid, big kid. I love him to death. No, he's not one of us. He listened to the podcast. He's had moments where he thought, right. But anyway, he kept bugging. So I said, I finally gave him the old boss's phone number. I said, call him. I can't hire you. He's the one that does all the hiring. Next day, my boss calls, hey, I hired that boy you wanted. I said, what? He goes, I hired that kid you wanted. I said, whatever. And that's kind of how that happened. But he goes, I need to talk to you. And I've been driving out, so he's been texting me, need to talk to you, to talk to you. And I've been bouncing around. So finally, a week later, he goes, hey, I've been listening to your podcast, and a friend of mine I went to school with, this young lady, who's a doctor on her way to get into her doctorate. Yep. He had turned her on to this podcast. Right. She loves it. I said, maybe nice to get her on. You think she'd come on? He goes, yeah. So that's where he got me her information. I got it to you. And it's just a God thing.
Yeah, it was. And I reached out to her, and she responded immediately. We picked up a conversation. We started talking about stuff. I wanted her in studio. It's always better to have in studio. I'm a face-to-face kind of person. I will have her. She's going to be coming in on Zoom. We're going to record that this afternoon after we record this one. But it'll drop in about 3 weeks after we record. And I'm so very excited because I got so much to talk to her about, so much that.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to learn.
Super excited. I love learning. Like I said, I've been
I love the fact that she's really helping veterans, with which I am one. Right. And I've got to help my share in through this process. Right. Because they suffer.
Oh, they do. I mean, you know what though? And I'm going to bring this up because I have some stuff that I want to talk about. Yes, our veterans, and I just listened to the Joe Rogan, Rick Perry, and his name is Brian Hubbard. I think
Hubbard.
I think I said that wrong. If you get a chance, anybody that listens to that podcast, it is freaking amazing. It's some of the most. Our government, and I don't know how much because she works for. Hopefully, Rachel will talk about this, but how much our federal government hinders our vets from getting help. It's sad.
Well, I bet
it's fucking sad. It's fucking criminal, quite honestly. Why
do you think I don't go to the VA for anything?
It is fucking criminal the way they.
But the money that gets spent, there's a boatload of money that goes, but the bureaucracy and all the fingers, it just doesn't get down to us.
Right. No,
it fills a lot of pockets, but not ours.
That podcast is, and I listen to a lot. I listen to Sean Ryan. I listened to Joe Rogan. I listen to a lot of those guys, and. When I listened to that one, and this guy that I think it's Mark Hubbard. I don't know. I want to make sure I get that name right. I apologize. I want to make sure I get that podcast, his name right. But anyways, when I listened to that and I got to hear that, I didn't realize just how just fucking horrible our federal government is about the way they run these programs. Not just the VA.
I take it back when Trump got in. Right. I mean, because I've been a veteran since. 94,
right?
Or 92, actually. He really did a lot of good.
Who? Oh, Trump.
Donald Trump did. Yeah. He started changing, and then after that, it kind of went back to bullshit. Yeah, to be quite honest. But there are some veterans that I have found.
Brian Hubbard.
That they get some help, but for the most part,
yeah.
When I tried to go in and just kind of see what was available, because I had great insurance and stuff through my union, but what else is available to me? It was just like. It's so tedious. It's such a pain in the fucking ass. Like I didn't go to bother with it.
But Rob, what I'm trying to get at, it's not even what the VA down at that part. It's what the pharmaceuticals and the FDA and all that approvals for, like the plant medicine that we're going to talk about with Rachel. We're going to get into a lot of that stuff. Then that's going to be next week when we get into that with an actual soon to be PhD. She's months away. I think she told me May is when she actually gets her PhD.
So she's basically, she is a doctor.
She is. Yeah. I mean, she is.
Awesome.
And why she wants to come on and talk to us, couple knucklehead. Maybe she just wants to come on and correct our dumbasses.
Good.
God, I hope
Heaven
so.
knows we need it.
So yes, I'm excited. So that's going to be next after this one. So it's going to be next week is when that one's going to drop.
So that'll drop next.
So yes, this one will drop on. So this one's dropping on, I want to say the 9th, Wednesday the 9th. And
you're
then
terrible days, buddy.
I am fucking horrible.
See, I was saying, this is going to drop on the 8th.
Yeah, this one will drop on the 8th.
She'll be on the 15th of January.
Yeah, she'll drop on the 15th of January. Then we got another one of our friends that are coming in with him and his girlfriend, who are both in the program with us. And she
That's Johnny Boy.
Yep. And not only does she suffer with alcoholism, she also suffers with mental health. So,
she really speaks well.
And I'm very excited about this because here's one of the things I don't think mental health is talked about enough in our rooms, right? And I've said that multiple times. We talk so much about.
Well, again, and I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick. We probably shouldn't.
Well, okay,
because we deal with alcoholism and the alcoholic.
Right.
They try to get to their and one of the fellowships they tried to do. There was a meeting on emotional sobriety. Like, what the fuck is that?
No, okay.
What is that?
I agree.
What is that? We know what physical sobriety is. But then and what that means is somebody is so. The term is so broad.
Yep.
Like, and then there was anyway, it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but
so
we deal with sobriety. We deal with alcoholism.
Yes. But on the other side of that,
alcoholism and drug addiction affects mental health. Obviously, I mean, they're tied together, but I'm not a specialist on that. I've seen a lot of people go through these steps.
I still fight with my depression. I got to fight with it all the time.
Come off of a lot of medication that I had them because I'm not your doctor. I'm not your lawyer. No. I'm not your,
one of the things about AA, it has taught me how to deal with my depression, right? When Laurel was here, we talked about it, but my
dark days are few and far between.
I don't have a dark day anymore.
You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying, but I don't have dark days because I can see that light, right? For years, I didn't see that light go dim and dim and dimmer before it went out. I am now, because of the 12-step program and the things that I do, the things that I learned.
And the spiritual awakening of God.
My God.
And one thing I read when I read that thing about Bill.
Yeah,
I sent to you is when he was looking into alternative, which I get. Look, all that he was the co-founder of one of the greatest self-help programs. AA is not a fucking self-help program. It's a God help program or a higher power help program, however you want to say it. It is. It's not a self-help, because if I could have just pulled lifted myself out of the gutter from my bootstraps, I wouldn't need you, and I certainly wouldn't need God.
Right.
But it turns out I need both.
Yep. What was the other thing? I've been trying to remember how Johnny said this, and Johnny, you'll probably because I've heard it said multiple times. This is it's a do it program, not
it's a AA or I'm not going to say. And I went to an NA meeting when I was there. Anyway, Alcoholics Anonymous, right?
Right.
It is not for the people that need it or the people that want it. It's for those of us that do it.
Correct. Johnny said
it's a program. It's a spiritual program of action.
Right. And then Johnny said that, and I meant to write it down because I've heard that multiple times, not just from Johnny, right? I've heard it from you, and I just, like I said, I'll forget that. I already did. Forgot how you said it. But
there's no chapter in our book called Into Thinking.
Right.
There's chapter 6 called Into Action.
Into Action, right.
And that's the way you get out of, you want to get out of the dark? Get into
action. And I say that all the time. And that's why
you want to get out of your own head? Get into action.
I say that all the time. You're never going to
think your way into better action, but you can act your way into some better thinking.
Right. All right, Mr. Rob, we're going to jump out of here, brother.
And then she's coming on, Rachel?
Yes, sir. She's coming on next.
Remind us to talk about the NA meeting I went to.
Oh, God. No, I shouldn't say that. We have NA people that listen.
I love you NA people, but
the way it happens.
And I just sat in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing.
But you have to when you go to Maynard. Just so
they go, hey, there's a meeting at 6:30. They go, it's an NA meeting, Rob. I said, I probably did more dope than you guys did. It was alcohol that just cut me to ribbons. You know what I mean?
And did you ever notice that the NA meetings face north and the AA meetings face south when you go there? I did not know that till the very last meeting that I was there. I finally realized that the NA 12
they clap. Every time someone shares, they clap.
Right.
After every share, they clap. What are you guys doing? Stop that shit.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right, brother.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my ass. You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but Do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week, and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in. Take
This
care.
has been Recovery Unfiltered.